you're gonna look great. But if you wanna stay in shape, well, you better hit the GymWits.
That's right, man. Tell 'em.
Welcome to the GymWits podcast. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, aka Chef Sonic.
And we are the GymWits. So we got an interesting episode today. We got a really great person. David Pitts is on the episode today. And so this is a good episode both for trainers and if you're interested in fitness, if you're interested in motivation. He's got some great stories to tell us about his work with clients. He's got a lot of business advice that works for trainers, but I think it also works if you're in any field where you kind of have to sell yourself, but maybe you don't feel like you're a salesman, which is a lot.
It's almost like some good motivational stuff in there as well.
Yeah, so it's like, I think the biggest issue with personal training often has to do with engaging your clients and, selling. Obviously, you meet somebody, you're trying to convince them to spend a significant amount of money to pay for your services. And there are times, most trainers go through this initially where you feel like you're almost not valuable or as valuable as you're charging, whether you're charging $30 an hour or $150 an hour. Like there's a point where sometimes you feel like, wait, am I really worth that much? And so he has some great stories and kind of anecdotes that should help with any trainers that do feel like that. Or again, if you're in any service industry where you have to kind of convince someone to part with a significant amount of money, it helps a lot. So without further ado, let's go right into it. Our interview with David Pitts.
Hey everyone, we are here with David Pitts, and he is a trainer and an entrepreneur and a business manager, business owner, and on tons of different roles in the industry. So, hey David, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing very well. Thank you so much.
Cool. Could you tell us a little bit about your background in fitness and athletics?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was one of those guys who grew up playing sports. I was real heavily into sports, and in particular, football was my passion. And I played football throughout college, and then when my NFL dreams didn't necessarily pan out, I was left wondering what the heck I was going to do with the rest of my life. So through college, ironically, I studied to get certified as a trainer as like a part-time gig while going to school, and I really enjoyed that. So when I moved back home, I ended up getting a job at a big box gym in my local town, and that one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I'm managing the trainers, and then I opened my own studio, and then now here I am, the co-founder of a software platform that is designed to help fitness professionals grow their business.
So that sounds like a very similar kind of career trajectory to me, as far as starting doing it as a part-time job in college and then falling in love with it. Just out of curiosity, what was your major in college? Like what was your initial kind of focus?
Yeah, it's funny. It was physical education.
Okay.
So I was thinking I was going to go to school to be a PE teacher or something. To be honest, man, like I was that guy that was obsessed with football. Like from third grade through college, like football was my life. So, I mean, I probably would say that like the main reason I went to school, as dumb as it sounds, was because, that's where football took me. Yeah. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life until I stopped playing ball.
Yeah. So you mentioned, you've had many roles. You've been a trainer, manager, entrepreneur. What's been your favorite role kind of within the fitness industry? What thing have you kind of, would you say you're most proud of, or you kind of just enjoy the most or get the most enjoyment out of?
That's such a great question. It's interesting, and this is going to sound cheesy as heck, but I think I genuinely enjoy helping people. And I recognize this when I started training people. I always liked working out, but then I was surprised to see how much I liked helping other people achieve their goals. So I really gravitated toward the fitness space because I genuinely enjoy helping people achieve their goals. Now, at one point in time when I first started with my fitness career, I said, okay, maybe I'm not going to be this big name in the NFL, but maybe I can be a big name in the world still by changing as many lives as I possibly can. So I made it my mission to do that. And one thing led to another. And when I'm running my gym, I'm thinking, okay, I could only reach out to so many people, right? I'm running a brick and mortar, and I could really only help the people in my area. But what's really cool and what I love about my current position in the industry as the co-founder of this software platform, is now what I do is I focus and actually I obsess over helping other fitness professionals better connect with their clients, deliver better results and a better experience to their clients, which ultimately, in a selfish way, makes me feel like I'm creating that much more of an impact. Because if I could help hundreds of trainers or even thousands of trainers, I could help thousands or tens of thousands of average Joe and Janes, achieve their goals. So in a sense, I feel like I'm impacting them as well.
So now I guess out of curiosity, what's more rewarding though, the one-on-one experience where you can actually you can see your impact on somebody, or kind of knowing that you have a larger impact, but you're kind of disconnected from the individual experience?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I would say the more obvious reward is the one-on-one impact. I still train part-time. I'm obsessed with it. I think I will train part-time as long as people, allow me to train them. But I'll tell you what, it's equally as fulfilling when I have complete strangers email me or call me or tell me how much, I've helped their business grow, or I've helped them achieve results within their business, or whatever it might be. Like hearing that when it happens to complete strangers, when I don't have that direct, like that obvious, like, holy smokes, I'm helping you get through this every day. But in a sense, like some of the tools I put out, whether it's they hear me on a podcast, they watch one of my presentations, or whatever it might be, just using our platform. I think that's equally as rewarding, but not as easy to identify.
Wow. I'm actually curious about something. At the height of your sort of performance with playing football, where were you at? Were you playing college ball? Like, how good were you, do you believe?
Yeah, I don't know that I was the best football player in the world by any means. I think where I excelled was my work ethic.
Yep.
I was a bonehead my first 2 years in high schools. I ran with the wrong crew, so my grades suffered. And then early in my career, there was a junior college, like in high school, that was the top junior college in the country. And I'm like, all these D1 guys go, all these guys that go there, they go D1 after. I'm just going to do that, right? And so that was my plan, as stupid as that sounds. And then my senior year, I kind of get my act together, and I'm like, holy crap, I kind of dug myself a hole here in regards to grades and going to a big-time university straight out of high school. So long story short, I went to the junior college that was filled with D1 athletes, and I started 2 years for them. I was the captain of the team.
Oh, wow.
And then when it's weird how things work out. I had some nothing major, but I had some 1AA schools offering me scholarships, and I ended up taking a scholarship from a very small school called Eastern Oregon University. And I went there because, 3 of my best friends in the world all committed to there. And I literally committed to the school without ever going there. It's an interesting story. I remember I didn't even go on a recruiting trip up there. And I remember waking up one morning with a voicemail on my phone, and my buddies they were all out. It was late night. They were at like the bars or something. And they're like, dude, you got to come here. We're all coming here. We signed our letter of intent. All the girls like us because we're from California. It's snowing. This is the best place in the world. So they sold me. And one of my other buddies, we just packed up and moved up there that I played football with without ever even visiting the school. Oh, wow. So it's a very small school, Eastern Oregon University. But I'll tell you what, it was some of the best times of my life. And unfortunately, it didn't position me to really have a shot of going anywhere from there. I could have played CFL. I got some NFL Europe opportunities, but at that point in time, I just knew too many people that were 28 and trying to, trying to support their family and chasing their dreams of playing in the NFL when it just wasn't going to happen. And no one is more of an advocate of chasing your dreams than me, but I just didn't want to be that guy. I'd been playing since 3rd grade, and you know what? I just felt like it was time to call it quits. So,
just for our listeners out there, and just people in general, from someone who's in your position, can you describe what level of athlete it takes for someone to make to the NFL? And even the worst guy in the NFL, what level they perform at?
Yeah, it's funny because, with each level, it's a whole different world, right? the worst player in college is, some of the best players in high school, and some of the worst players in the NFL are the most dominant players in college football, and so on and so forth. So it's a different speed. Just everything about it, like when you're in high school, if you work out every day and you're eating right and you're going above and beyond, like, you stand out. And then you get to college, and then everybody's doing that. So you got to find different ways to stand out, right? And so on and so forth. And that just evolves like crazy. So the guys that make it to the NFL, not only are they the most talented dudes in the world, but I think in many cases you just have to be fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time as well. Because I played ball with some guys who are very capable of playing in the NFL, and they didn't make it for whatever reason. And not to toot my own horn, but one of the number one compliment that I ever got in regards to my athletic career was from a good friend of mine who played for the Atlanta Falcons. He played for the New York Giants. He played for the Oakland Raiders. And he told me, he played for Fresno State University. I mean, he was all over the place. He told me of all these teams he played for that I was the best safety that he ever played with.
Wow.
And not that I think I was. I share that story just because there's more to it than just being good. I mean, you have to be smart, you have to be disciplined, you have to have the work ethic, and you have to be incredibly talented. And if all those things don't align, you're not gonna get there.
No, and you have to be a little bit lucky too to not get injured.
You have to be lucky. Like That's right. Absolutely.
Cool. So going back to training, so I guess one of the biggest challenges as a trainer is that with the client is that you only have 1, 2, maybe if the client's got money, 3 hours a week that you're working with them. So that leaves many hours and many days during the week where you're not with them. And so it's a difficult kind of problem with a difficult solution, but you seem to have kind of found a way to work with that. So I guess, can you tell me, like, what got you the idea for kind of off-day trainer? And I guess also tell our listeners a bit of what off-day trainer is and how you use that to tackle kind of that problem in the fitness industry.
Yeah, so Off-Day Trainer is a software platform that is designed to help fitness professionals of any type grow their business. And the way we do this is we leverage text messaging. So it's likely every trainer in the country or FitPro in the country is texting their clients currently, because that's the number one form of communication that exists. So what we did is we found a way to kind of automate business best practices for fitness professionals. So to give you an example and to really answer your question on what inspired the concept of this thing is early in my career, I recognized that everyone in the industry was obsessing over the next best workout methodology, or people were obsessing and debating over which type of diet your clients should be on that create the best results and all this stuff. And I was over there sitting like, man, you know what? I care, like, if my clients would just do what they were supposed to when they weren't with me, like, that would be game changing for me. And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I could probably focus on that and kind of create like a differentiator amongst myself and my competition. So I made a point to obsess over what my clients did when they weren't with me. Because you're right. On average, a training client will meet with their trainer 2, maybe 3 times a week if you're lucky. So that leaves you with 4 or 5 days out of the week where we require our clients to remain self-disciplined. We need them to eat right. We need to make sure they're doing the workouts on their own, that they're hydrating, that they're sleeping well, and all this stuff, right? So the reality of it is most people aren't that disciplined. And most people don't even care so much about doing those things as we care for them. I used to always tell my clients, I can't do this stuff for you. Like, I can't go grocery shopping for you. I can't purchase your foods. I can't cook your meals. So if you don't buy into the program and everything that I'm teaching, not just the 2 workouts we do a week, but you have to do this, then it's going to be a difficult road. So I knew 99% of my clients did what they were supposed to when they were with me, but 99% of my clients weren't getting these crazy results. And of course I take that personally. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm pretty good at what I do. I try my best, but then I learned that was the case with everyone. All the trainers, like they all deliver these great sessions. That's not the problem.
Sure.
The problem is what our clients are doing when they're not at the session. So I started obsessing over connecting with them. I was trying to deliver more motivation, more accountability, know-how, reminding them of their goals and why their goals are important to me and all this stuff. And I figured the more I stayed top of mind, the more their goals were. And the more they're thinking about their goals, the more likely that they're going to remain disciplined when I'm not around. So by doing this, I was emailing them. I was all over them on social media. I was trying to connect with them any way, shape, or form that I could. But the one system, the one platform that was tried and true was a text. Because I could email you a workout and be very specific with the exercises I wanted to do, the sets, the reps, the rest periods, all this stuff. And that's what I was doing. And then I would send that out to my clients for their off days. And then when I would see you on the following day, I would say, okay, Ryan, how'd that workout go? How you feeling from yesterday's workout? And they would go, what workout? What are you talking about? Like, did you not do the workout? That
funny.
affects what we're doing today. If you didn't do that yesterday, I gotta kind of improvise what we're going to do today because that drastically affects what we're doing. And they would go, oh, I don't ever check my email. Or by the time I saw your email, I was already in bed with the kids at home. I couldn't get there. So I found myself literally texting clients, check your email, check your email, check your email. And really that just evolved. And, I'm like, what, this email stuff is so time consuming because I'm trying to detail everything out and I'm trying to be really professional. But really what I was doing is I was just overcomplicating the process. I learned if rather than giving you this full-blown workout to do on your off days, if I just sent you a simple text that said, hey, Ryan, run 2 miles for time and text back your time. Now it's a very simple task. Like I'm not asking you, not simple in whether it's easy, but simple to understand. Like how to run 2 miles and you can put a time component to that and then text me back. And then by asking you to text me back, it's creating this accountability. And now you can't say, oh, I didn't get your text message until I was home with the kids. Or, oh, I don't ever check my text message because everyone reads their text. You don't have one unread text message, right? So this this was a light bulb for me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to text my clients like crazy. And I started doing that and my clients loved me for it. Because to them, these are people that are paying me to help them achieve a goal. Now it's not just David puts together these killer workouts for me twice a week, but now he cares so much about me that he's literally texting me to make sure that I stay on track and that I achieve my goals. So he's the best trainer around, right? So it was a win-win for everybody. Now the problem with this, you guys, is it wasn't scalable. So it's okay. It's not too difficult for me to text a handful of people regularly. But what had happened was I became known as the results guy in my area. And it wasn't because of the workouts I was doing or the meal plans that I was preparing for my clients. It was because I was making sure my clients were doing what they were supposed to every single day. And whether they liked it or not, like they were paying me to help them achieve a goal. And the goal was always what it was all about. Their results, their success, right? So as my list grew, I became known as a results guy. I started getting more and more clients. And I learned that it got really difficult to text everyone all the time when you have a lot of clients. And I started feeling like I was a crappy trainer because I wasn't able to deliver that same level of engagement. And I wasn't connecting with all of my clients when I had fewer. So my obsession was always, I want to treat every one of my clients like as if they're my only client. And if I can do that, I'm going to be delivering an experience to where my clients will stay with me for life. And not only will they stay with me for life, but they'll tell their friends and family and everyone they know about how great I am because I'm creating that kind of experience for them. And that's what I wanted to do with everybody. And it got to the point I wasn't doing it for anybody because I was so stretched thin. And the way this whole thing came about is one of my longtime clients was the CEO and founder of this text messaging company. And I learned more about what they were doing and how restaurant owners were using text to influence their client behavior, like loyalty rewards programs or something. Like if you sign up for a loyalty reward program at a restaurant and they say, hey, 10 check-ins and you get a free meal on us. Now, all of a sudden, when you're at 9 check-ins, they can send everyone in their network a text that says, hey, come on in, next meal's on us. Now, guess where you're going to dinner? Well, that's what he was doing. And I'm like, man, you know what? It's exactly what I'm doing with my clients, but I'm not giving them rewards. I'm just essentially trying to text them to influence their behavior. I want to make sure they're eating right and moving more. And I told them, I said, if you can help me automate some of this stuff, what I'm doing isn't rocket science. I'm literally scouring the internet for motivational quotes to send out to all of my clients. And I'm looking for like nutritional tips. And a lot of it, of course, I'm coming up, but a lot of it was just stuff that I was just copying and pasting and sending it to my clients because I enjoyed it and I thought they might too. And that's what it was all about. So once I learned to automate this, now I can send a text. I can work with, if I have a gym and there's 500 people there, I can text 500 people 3 days a week or every day if I wanted to, with some sort of motivation, with some sort of accountability, with some sort of reminder of their goals and all this stuff. And what really makes our product and service exciting is the automation. Our technology that we have a patent on is smart enough to recognize each of your clients' goals. It's smart enough to recognize their name, their status, when they want to receive text messages, and so on and so forth. So when that automated message goes out, it's going to feel very personalized, and it's going to be embraced and welcomed. It's not going to be an annoying automated text message. And that's the key differentiator. And that was my biggest concern when creating this product, is to focus on the end user, the client, and make sure that every time they receive a text message, they're stoked because of it.
So now were clients ready to just jump on this? Did you find it that there were any clients were like, oh, I don't like the idea of receiving texts all the time, or have you had any clients that have said, I'm not too into this? And it's the opposite. Have you had some rave reviews from clients as well?
Yeah. So the way our model works is we target the fitness professional, and the fitness professional signs up for an account, and it's like a subscription. So they pay a subscription to use this tool that's going to help them connect with every one of their clients, right? So that they can treat 500 people like it's their only client, right? That's the idea here. And not only that, we're talking lead generation. So when you start looking into your marketing and advertising campaigns, now nobody's ever going to fall through the cracks, because every lead your business acquires is going to receive a text within the first 24 hours. And we know that's the hot spot. We've done tests on these things. So we know what every one of your leads should be texted with and when. And then we know, like, if you're asking them for certain information and they don't give it to you, we know when to follow up with messaging. And that's all programmed for our users. And then that whole thing goes through until the trainer or the gym owner is sitting in front of that prospect or on the phone with that prospect, which is the opportunity to sell that prospect their services. I sell you my services. Now you become an active client in the system. Now the focus shifts. Now, instead of trying to sell this person my services, I'm trying to provide the ultimate experience for this person so that they stay with me for life. So how do I do that? I deliver a killer workouts, and I make sure you're staying on track when I'm not around. So it becomes these motivational text messages and nutritional tips and accountability type messages. It's the experience there.
Wow, that's great. So now, I guess I'm sure you've looked into this as well. I think a lot of trainers complain that they are not salesmen, right? That they're like, well, I'm into fitness, I'm into, working out, I'm into helping people get healthy and all that stuff, but I don't feel comfortable selling. I don't like to cold sell, walk up to someone and try to sell them sessions, or have to tell someone why they need to work out with me. What are some tips for trainers to help them either become a salesman or to embrace that role, and to realize that if you're a trainer, sales is going to be part of the job?
That's right. First and foremost, I would say recognize what you're worth. And it's so natural for a lot of us who grew up in sports, and you make that transition to where, exercise and health and fitness just seems like a way of life. But for most of the world, it's not. Most people aren't like us, and most people don't enjoy working out and eating healthy foods and stuff like this. So you need to recognize the value that you provide to certain people. And I have a story that really changed my thoughts on this. actually and changed my life, essentially. I've actually written about it and spoke about this woman a few times. So I had this client. Her name was Gabriella. Her son bought her personal training package with me as a Christmas gift. And Gabriella was a Hungarian immigrant who hardly spoke a word of English, and she did not want to train with me. For our first session, she hardly spoke to me. I had never even met her prior to our session. So like I talked with her son signed her up, and now here it is time to meet with Gabriella to kind of go over her goals and all this stuff and show her what I'm all about. But when I met her, she was so incredibly rude. She didn't want to meet with me. She told me as we're walking up to the fitness floor, she stops me in her broken English. She tells me she doesn't want to be here. And she tells me she doesn't want to train. She doesn't like to exercise. The only reason she's there is because her son spent thousands of dollars on a training package with me. And I said, whoa, I was like floored, right? I'm like, holy smokes, I'm so sorry. If there's some sort of confusion or misunderstanding, I can definitely set you up with a different trainer, or we can cancel your plan and refund your money, no questions. And she kind of thinks for a second, and she like rolls her eyes and says like, no, it's fine, I'll do it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And this is early in my career. Like later, I probably wouldn't have even stuck with this client. But I go upstairs and I sit down with her, and it was just the worst session that I ever had. This woman was so incredibly rude. I would try showing her exercises just to kind of get a feel of where she was at. And she would roll her eyes if I asked her to do a few more reps. She just wouldn't respond to questions I was asking her. It was unbelievable, right? So after this session, I go downstairs and I talk to one of my sales guys, and I'm like, man, we're going to end up refunding her money. That was easily the worst session I ever had. That was just a nightmare. Sure enough, I thought she was going to cancel. 2 days later, she didn't cancel. She shows up for a second session, and still very rude, but not nearly as bad. Long story short, 6 months go by, and this woman becomes my favorite client that I've ever had. Like, even though she still never speaks very well English, but we get to the point where we can understand each other well enough. She works harder than anyone that I train. And at this time, I'm working with like high school athletes who are trying to get to the collegiate level, or collegiate athletes who are trying to get to the professional level. So I'm working with, and she outworks everybody. She shows up 10 minutes early before every session. She's consistent. She's eating right. She does everything that I tell her, right? So she loses 50 pounds in 6 months, and she's a 58-year-old woman who hardly speaks a word of English. She's late one day, and I'm waiting for her during the session. She's always my last client. She comes up 10 minutes after a session, and I'm worried about her. I was just texting her, and she comes up, and I could tell she had been crying. And I look at her, and I go, Gabriella, is everything okay? And she says, yeah, can I speak to you in private? And I go, sure. So we go in my office, and I sit her down, and I ask her what's going on, and she tells me that she just wanted to talk to me and tell me how much she appreciates me. She goes on to tell me her story. And apparently 30 years prior to this moment is when she migrated from her country to ours. She moved here with a newborn son. She didn't have a friend or a family member. It was just the two of them. She didn't have anywhere to live. She was eating out of dumpsters and looking for clothes on the streets, and was working sometimes 4 jobs just to survive with her and her kid. And she told me that her life's purpose was to provide an opportunity for her son, an opportunity that she never had in her country, right? So then she goes on to tell me of her son's success. She tells me he's a doctor. She tells me he has a beautiful wife and a beautiful family, and he's a man of integrity and morals and all this stuff. And she starts crying again. I'm like, holy crap, where's she going with this? And she says she's made it her point for her whole entire life to provide a better life for her son. And the reality is, she says, it's because of him that my life is good. She says, because he made me train with you, I'm actually a better person. And she starts talking how I've changed her life. And I'm not kidding. Like it still like gives me goosebumps reliving this moment, because it literally changed the way I see training and what I provided to people. She goes on to tell me how before we started working out, she was miserable. She owned her own business, but it was about to shut down. She was depressed. She never wanted to get out of bed. She'd never had any energy. And now here she is. Her business is thriving. She's happy. She's running around with her grandkids for the first time in her life, and so on and so forth. And she just goes on to tell me the story, and my mind was blown, because at that time I was somebody who had a hard time believing that I was worth $60 a session that I charged for my clients, right? And all of a sudden, to this woman, I was providing a life-changing experience for her, and she would have paid any dollar amount at that point in time to continue to work with me, because the transformation that I helped her create. And so my point here is, for anyone listening, if you're a fitness professional and you struggle with sales, first and foremost, understand that you are valuable. And there are a lot of people who will pay you what you're worth. But first, you need to understand what you're worth, because the stuff you're doing can change lives. And second, don't look at sales as sales. Look at sales as service. You're providing service to these people. You have this opportunity to have the same effect on any one of your clients that I had on Gabriella. And it's happening all over the world every single day, right? So recognize that, embrace that, and understand that, look, these people, when it comes to sales, these people have problems. They're coming to you because they likely have tried many times to achieve their health and fitness goals, but they've failed, right? So they've come to you because you seem to be the solution. You might have an answer for them. So recognize that, embrace that, understand their pain points, provide a solution to them, and promise results, and then over-deliver with a world-class experience. And if you can get that down, you'll never have trouble selling again. Because when you lead with the customer experience, then it feels really, really good. And it's not going to come across as pitchy either.
So that's a great approach. And, I think I use a lot of the similar kind of principles with my own clients. But what do you say to, like, let's say a new trainer who is at a big box gym that is kind of putting a lot of pressure on them to sell, where they don't have the room to breathe right off the bat, that you might need to kind of have a more kind of service oriented approach, or an approach where you're kind of planting seeds and allowing them to, giving them room to grow. What do you say to a trainer who maybe is in a situation with just a lot of pressure on them to sell?
Well, I think understanding that if that's the situation you're in, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, it is a business, right? So if you're training, if you can't sell your services, and nobody's selling them for you, then you're not going to make it, right? Like, you need to find a way to get comfortable with sales. And like I said, my suggestion is, don't look at it as like trying to take people's money, but instead look at it as understanding who this person is. Try to connect on an emotional level with it. I don't care like what your time crunch is. If you're getting people in front of you and you're having issues selling them, you're either getting the wrong people in front of you, or you're not delivering the right message, right? So when you can identify with these people and understand their emotions that are tied behind their goals, right? So everybody has a goal, but nobody in the world wants to hire a personal trainer. There's not one person that wants to hire a personal trainer. They want the benefits that come with working with a personal trainer. Nobody in the world cares about losing 50 pounds. They want the benefits, what they perceive the benefits of losing 50 pounds is. So when you could understand this and recognize this with your leads and really speak to those emotions, it's going to be a different approach, and your conversion rates are going to skyrocket. And there's tons of objections that you could potentially overcome, depending on who the prospect is and who it is you're speaking to. But I believe if someone genuinely wants to achieve success and they're serious about their goals, I believe you could potentially sell anyone if you're good at what you do.
Wow. So sounds like you have just a ton of experience with this, and you're also great at telling stories. I'm curious, what is the most either bizarre or funniest story that you have while training a client?
Oh man, I don't even know where to begin off the top of my head. I'll tell you what, I got something that's I don't know if it's real inspiring, but so my MO used to be extreme transformations. I was either working with athletes, or I was the guy who would drop 100 pounds off a person. So one of my clients who was 330 pounds was somebody who I knew since the third grade. And he was a local guy in my area. Of course, I moved back home after football. So I was training, in the area that I grew up in. And this was a guy who who had long hair, like down to middle of his back, and he had a beard. He looked like ZZ Top. I mean, he looked like a homeless person, man. He's dirty, greasy. He's 330 pounds, and he comes to me one day and he asks if he can train with me, because he was telling me that his neighbor had a heart attack, and he was telling me his neighbor, the woman is like 350 pounds and the male was like 450 pounds. And he said the male neighbor had a heart attack, and it made him realize, it was his like wake up, moment, like, holy smokes, if I don't change something, I'm going to have a heart attack soon as well. And at the time, this guy was like 30 years old. So I'm like, yeah, man, we put him on a program and we start training, and he drinks the Kool-Aid. He gets obsessed. Like first thing he does is he trims down his beard. Next thing you know, he cuts his hair, he gets cleaned up, and he's losing the weight. He used to work out in a hoodie every single day with me. And as he's losing weight, he's getting real fit. And people are wondering what's under the hoodie, right? So they would always ask him. Now, I'll tell you what, man, this dude is on every online dating site that they have, and all of his profile pics are shirtless pictures with him at the beach, like showing off his abs. And the dude is jacked up and he's ripped. And he recently challenged me. It's really funny because I was always his motivation, and it got to the point where we were close enough that I would work out with him, and he actually enjoyed that. He preferred that because he felt like it pushed him more, and he's gotten incredibly fit. He's about 205 pounds, and he's about 10% body fat, super fit. And now his motivation is he's actually training by himself now, and he's asked me to give him a 6-week program. And I think we're like 2 weeks away, but he's been training on his own for the last 4 weeks. And then in 2 weeks from today, we're going to compete with this little fitness competition that we put together. I think that's an interesting story just because it's an extreme transformation. And now it's almost like, the client, the student teaches the teacher, right? The role reversal. So now he's challenging me, and his goal is to beat me in a fitness competition.
Well, I guess sort of speaking of the whole competition thing, what is your view on fitness as a sport, like CrossFit and all that stuff? Like, do you miss competing, right? Do you think that fitness and competition, there's a place for it to work together, that it can be like a powerful tool for people that are into that?
100%. I love it. I'm obsessed, man. Honestly, I drank the CrossFit Kool-Aid too. So I had a buddy of mine who was in DC reach out to me and asking if I wanted to partner with him and open up a CrossFit studio. And I didn't even know what the heck CrossFit was back then. And I Google it, and I'm looking around, and I started looking up these workouts they got going on. And I remember the first one I did was Fran. And I'm like, man, this is 95 pounds. This is lightweight. Like, because I was used to doing the Olympic lifts and the powerlifting from football and stuff. So it was a real natural transition for me. And I'm like, shoot, 95 pounds. I don't know what a thruster is, but I could put 95 pounds over my head all day, right? So I'm thinking like, holy smokes, this is going to be easy. And I did it, man. And I didn't know how to do kipping pull-ups. So I was trying to bang out strict pull-ups and do the 95-pound thrusters. And I did it, and I don't remember the time. I think it wasn't anything great, but it wasn't horrible. It was like just under 6 minutes or something like that. But I remember thinking like, holy crap, I feel like I'm going to die. And I never felt like that sense of urgency in a workout when you put a time component to it. Like I wasn't doing that really, other than like with certain circuits. But to complete like a rep scheme for time was completely new to me. And I'm so damn competitive. Like I would get through some pull-ups and I'd be sitting there staring at the clock, and I'd be like, holy shit, David, get back on that bar. And I couldn't move, man. And I remember just laying on the ground like after like a 6-minute workout and just being obsessed. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I need to like figure everything about this sport. This is amazing. So yeah, I got real into it, man. I helped my buddy open up a CrossFit box, and I use a lot of those. I mean, it's really hard to, define what CrossFit is, but I was doing a lot of that stuff with my clients already, but not in the way that the sport has really allowed it to create like scale and competitive nature, which I really started adapting that to my training style as well.
So David, you have an offer for our listeners, right? Like a text message based offer for our listeners, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I would love to share a video that I created that might help some of your listeners in business. So the video I'd like to share, it speaks to branding, branding your business, and then we talk about marketing, and I go through a very detailed marketing funnel that is very easy to implement. And then I talk about retention and how to keep your clients or members for the life of your business. And really the video is about those three components. So branding your business, which ultimately going to help you generate leads, marketing, which is ultimately going to help you generate leads. And then there's an engagement component, which is for leads and current clients. That's going to help you sell more people and keep your clients longer. And if they are interested in this video, it's real simple. If you're in the United States, you could simply text the word podcast to the number 56955.
Great. Okay. And then if anyone's, for international listeners, is there another way to access the video?
Yeah, so perhaps I can just give the URL to you guys and you can put it in the show notes or something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. We'll totally put it in the show notes.
Awesome. Great. So, David, you are awesome. You're a great storyteller, and you're awesome fitness professional and just a wealth of knowledge. And we just love to thank you for coming on the GymWits. Hope you had a good time.
I did. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Awesome. All right, David. So normally it goes up in a couple of weeks or so. What do you think, Ryan?
Actually, might go up this week.
This week? Oh, cool. We might put it up sooner than later.
Cool.
So it'll go up, and we will include that URL. So what's that URL?
I'm gonna have to email it.
Sure. Yeah, just email it.
I'll have to pull that up.
And we can
I'll
put a
shoot
link.
You an email.
We'll put a link, and it'll work. And there's we have quite a few listeners. We have usually around 4,000 and growing per episode. So
very cool.
There'll definitely be some people checking it out for sure.
Awesome. Well, you know what? If it makes sense, what we can do is if you guys are interested in a kickback, we can create an affiliate account for you guys, and anyone who signs up through that page, we typically give 20% recurring revenue on any of the accounts that come through our affiliates. So what that would mean for you guys is, if let's say you get 20 people that sign up for our product, you're essentially collecting 20% of those 20 people's monthly subscription. And they're paying anywhere from $49 a month to $299 a month, depending on their plan.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Yeah, great.
So I'll follow up with an email. I'll shoot you guys the URL for that, and Perfect. I'll shoot you a link to the affiliate program. It's just a one-page form we need to go ahead and make that happen.
Really cool. Awesome.
Great.
Cool.
Great, David. Well, thank you so much.
We'll shoot you an email when it goes up, but it should go up Sunday night or Monday morning.
Cool, and then I'll promote the link to our interview through my network as well. See if we can help you guys grow there. You guys do a great job. I listened to quite a few of your episodes before jumping on, and I was really excited for this one.
Awesome, great, thanks.
And if new stuff happens, feel free. We'd love to have you back on.
Cool. All right, I appreciate that.
Awesome, great, David. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
All right, same to you guys. Thanks.
Well, I especially liked the story with the mother of the son that had bought her packages in order to get healthy, and how she was really sort of rude and hesitant about it at first, but how she became his best client, and how really it changed her life. Yeah. And just him, that moment where he understood his worth. I've I've experienced that in a similar way. It's really pretty powerful.
Yeah. I've had similar. Well, I had a similar experience, but only my story ends with her still being miserable and me still not liking her and ending up getting rid of the client. But at the same time, there are plenty of situations where you don't realize the impact you have on someone's life. Until there's a moment where something happens, you realize, wow, I'm more than just like a person that this person, works out with twice a week. That there's a value in your being there as a trainer, and you build more of a connection with somebody than just like, I'm just the guy that goes trains you for an hour or 2 hours a week. So
also for our listeners out there that are young athletes, or maybe parents of young athletes that are looking to be in the NFL or the NBA or whatever it is, I think this is also that was a really cool segment on really what it takes to get to a professional level of sports and what you have to think about. So for those out there that are in that position, really do some thinking about what the future is going to hold.
Yeah, and he had kind of a backup plan that worked out.
He did, and in fact, his backup plan turned into something sort of very special for him.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's it. So as usual, all of our stuff can be found at thegymwits.com. All of our social media stuff is up there. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at thegymwits@gmail.com. We've got a bunch of Ask the Trainer stuff to get through, but we will love some more. And that is it. I'm Ryan George.
I'm Justin Guild, a.k.a. Chef Sonic.
And we are the GymWits.